Hello, this is Daryl.
And this is John.
And this is the Town of Orphaned Characters, our weekly podcast where we roll up characters who live in the town. We want to see what's going on. And this week, John, we've had some really colorful characters come out. We had Mishra, the lizard folk monk, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that character is still super sweet. I'm pleased with how that one turned out.
Honestly, he was just like Celia, and we just kind of called it like as we were looking at it and knew exactly what the dice were going to give us.
I wonder if people are going to start speculating that we are like going back and editing. It would be too much editing to insert
First off,
like what we think the best ideas are.
If they want to believe that, thank you for having so much faith in my ability to edit and to record secondary audio for that. And bless you for thinking that as a kindergarten teacher, I had the extra time to spend on that when
bless your my day.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bless her heart. I'm not mean. I'm Southern. I'm not mean.
I'll bless it.
You can bless their hearts. I'm gonna thank them for having faith in me.
Sure.
But I think he's gonna be very interesting. Probably just lounging on top of different people's houses at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think Jaruk, our orc, is probably doing some heavy lifting and construction style work in the town. I feel like about this point, we've got about 6 characters going on here. And now's about the time that they're going to start like building up the rules and interacting with the villages and trading routes. So we probably have more visitors coming in. And it's probably like a very weird thing for a visiting salesman or like caravan to stop by in this town and be like, there's a hobgoblin, a goblin, an orc. Why is that lizard man sitting on the top of the roof naked? Like,
and there's a boat. There's a boat for some reason.
So I think it's very colorful. It's very out of hand and kind of outlandish, I think, for a lot of the visitors. But I think that also makes it very nice. Like,
I think it gives it some charm. For sure.
I wonder if we're going to have a nice, like, general shop form. And, like, if we roll up a character who kind of seems like they will do that. That's an interesting thing that we don't really have because these are adventurers, right?
Right.
We might maybe we'll roll up NPCs at some point. But they kind of do life in general until they go on an adventure. So I wonder what character we're going to get to do the general store and like selling things and like running the business.
Yeah, I mean that I've been kind of waiting for us to sort of stumble into it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There hasn't really been any character that we've made so far that really lends themselves to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the one that is probably the most is Red Sora because he has the jewel crafter's skill. Right.
Yeah.
And then you could say, okay, well, he could run a shop.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I think he's already doing that. I think he's already running like a jewelry or like an appraisal business going on for the local.
Yeah, certainly something that's bringing people to the area or causing them to pass through.
Yeah. I have a feeling, just hear me out on this one, that Mishra, the monk, the lizard folk monk, who just kind of like views random dead things as food, runs like a butcher shop.
Does he like punch the meat?
like he tenderizes
it with his fist.
Uses the Kamehameha waves to like cook it.
That's ridiculous, and I love it.
But my thought is, my family's from Louisiana, and one of the things that my mom used to say a lot when she was cooking, I'd be like, "What are you cooking?" She goes, "Don't look in that pot. Don't ask." And especially when it was food that like I like to eat, but I didn't like the food that was going into the food that I ate. My mom would just be like, "Oh, don't ask questions about what's in the pot. Just eat it." And I feel like that's the way he kind of does it with me. Like, "Hey, how old is this meat? Don't ask. Just
don't
eat.
ask.
Just
don't
eat.
ask what this is. Just eat food."
It." Yeah.
Oh, there's a character from Fallout. And people are going to hate me for mentioning this. I play Fallout 76. There's a character in there who he is a super mutant that walks around talking about meat. Mm-hmm. And he has this long point of dialogue where he's just naming all the different types of meat. Like stinky meat, chewy meat, sticky meat, squishy meat, just fishy meat. Like, just keeps going. There's many different types of meat that can be described with like one verb.
Is this bubble gump of meat? Like you could,
totally, yeah.
You got fried
Super mutants
shrimp.
don't have a very high IQ. That's for sure.
Yeah, the radiation does a number on the brain cells, I'm sure.
On a lot of things.
So I think our town's gonna grow. We haven't really we have our bureaucracy. We have, Celia and Misty, who are our quote unquote like lawmakers. We have a person who is already tending a grove and the landscape. And then we have Red Sword, who's kind of doing a little bit of business on the side. So we'll have to see how everybody else feels. That's the reason why I mentioned Jaruk the orc, too, is like I feel like that character probably does a little bit more like the physical construction and like the housing and the lumber and like
hunter-gathering stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna make it canon that in our version of the town that Misira is the butcher, then there could be a friendship forming there between Misira and
Jaruk the spine snapper.
Jaruk, yeah, Jaruk, he snaps the spines and brings the meat in, and Misira tenderizes it.
Mr. just like in a little cave, and it has like the meat hanging, and it's just like going full Rocky and like brr, 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 and like punching it and like just tenderizing the meat. Yeah. And I think that they're probably doing pretty well, all things considered, in establishing this small little town. But that brings us to today's character. And for those of you who don't know, each week we roll up these new characters and we kind of ad-lib who and what they're going to be. We always start with race and work our way all the way up to the languages and roll however we need to on the random things. We do use the D&D Beyond character builder as just a simple setup for it and use all the source materials except for the Magic the Gathering backgrounds. I'm not going to go into it. We talked about it in previous episodes. I hope you enjoy those. Today, let's roll up our new character.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, John, as usual, I will roll the D10. Actually, no. John, today, since you have the clickety-clack box that makes the wonderful sound, would you please go ahead and roll a D20 and a D10?
Okay. 15.
Half orc, yeah. So now we found Jaruk's son, and
yeah.
Well, we don't know if it's a son or not. But we have a half orc now. The half orc has dark vision. It's menacing, just like its predecessor. So intimidation skill, relentless endurance. So if you are killed, but not killed outright, you drop to 1 hit point instead, and you can use that every long rest. And then whenever you score a critical hit with a melee weapon, you get to add an extra die to the damage. So orcs are very structured for the melee type classes and for being in the front line. Now comes the gender reveal. We've moved this up. We use a simple D6 style for this, going from agender at 1 up to fluid at 6 to kind of describe the gender presentation of this character. And the way you play this character can be any way you want to. John, I rolled a 5, which is feminine presents as masculine again.
Nice.
Which means, I say again because the other feminine presents as masculine character
is the orc.
Is the orc, yes.
It's true, yeah. That's fine. That's fine. I mean...
But it's interesting, like, is this...
Maybe that's a thing in our world.
Yeah. Like, maybe the outcast orcs and the orc society, a lot of people present them as being kind of savage or whatnot like that, but maybe it's easier for the females to go into other societies and travel.
Present as male, yeah.
I have no clue, but it's very interesting that we rolled both.
It's I think it's just, it's dice. They decide for us, and there's a 1 in 6 chance.
Mm-hmm.
We rolled a 5. I wonder. I mean, there's a possibility that 5 is a common number.
It could be, and we might need to just randomize which order we do them on each episode to help just add more randomization.
Possibility.
We can consider that.
I think
in the future, if our listeners have any aspect into it, they can.
One of the things I'd like to do, actually, just this is unrelated, is start keeping a spreadsheet, because I believe earlier, since we're talking about gender right now, I may have misspoke and called Masira a he, and that character is definitely a she, according to my notes here. So
yes,
we're getting so many characters now that it's getting harder, at least for me, to keep that in my head. So I will have to probably just have a cheat sheet open.
We'll have to look into that. And maybe we'll share that out for the listeners too when we do the adoption thing, which we do have a Patreon. If you do join into that, you'll be able to adopt the characters and have the character sheets there. I'm trying to figure out how best to present that. But now that we have the gender and the race, it is now time for the age. Now, if I remember correctly, half orcs age a very similar sense to humans. That being, they become adults a little bit earlier, I think early teens, and then they reach adulthood and live to like the age of 80 or something like that, 75. Yeah. So they mature a little bit faster, so reaching adulthood about age 14 or 15. And they rarely live longer than 75 years. So I think we can do another D4 and D6.
Okay. So I rolled 2 times 4 is 8, so 8, 20, 22.
22.
Not bad.
Not bad. So again, that's probably like late 20s equivalent to human. Probably like 26 or so, like that, if you're thinking. So right out of college years, probably goes and has some fun with Misty, the young Triton that we have in the town, hangs out with her quite a bit. Probably gets on Red Sora's nerves, potentially, depending on the alignment and the way that this character does. And now, speaking of alignment, we do use the typical alignment chart. We roll on a D10 and just work our way down. So typically the 1, 2s, and 3s is lawful. The middle, 4, 5, 6 is neutral, and 7, 8, 9 is going to be something in evil. Or self-centered, I guess. We don't really use evil in the strictest sense of that. So, John, would you please? Yep.
That's a 1.
Lawful good.
This is interesting. So correct me if I'm wrong. Is Jaruk is actually lawful evil, right?
I believe. Let me double check the character sheet here. Neutral evil.
Oh, neutral evil.
So really just self-centered, does whatever. Yeah, mostly because they've been.
Oh, that's Celia. That's lawful evil, isn't it?
Yeah, Celia's lawful evil. This
is why I need a spreadsheet in front of me. We're going to remedy that at some point in the near future. Yeah, by the next episode for sure. So I think this is already getting interesting because we have an orc and a half orc that are both sort of the same sort of non-binary gender expression. That I was thinking that those two might have some way that they would relate to each other, but the alignments being so different poses an interesting sort of rivalry situation in my mind, or maybe just like a love-hate friendship could form. You never really know. It depends on how seriously you take alignments.
I think it would work. I think it would probably be more of a toxic friendship.
Yeah,
like
that's what I meant by love-hate. Like the toxic friendship is really even an even better way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like Jaruk probably oversteps boundaries a little bit more than he should, and it kind of like eggs on this character for other things, and like tries to intimidate, and like doesn't necessarily see it as being wrong, just does it and thinks he can get away with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm looking at on that character and their interactions. But while we're there, we have our alignment. Now we need to see what this character is kind of about.
Let's find out what this character is capable of doing, Daryl.
So for this, we do the 46 method. Yep. And take the highest 3. I'm going to clickety clack this time for the strength.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah, because
this is what I'm using. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a box from the inside of a fat pack, a bundle box. So go find one of your bundle boxes if you have one.
Nice. Oh, so this is fun. 2, 3, 3, 3. 9 for strength. With the racial bonus, it brings it up to 11. But still, that's pretty.
I like it. I'm actually happy with that.
Yeah.
I hope we don't run poop on all the stats.
But if we do,
yay! We found our shopkeeper.
Welcome to the NPC world.
All right, let's roll for dex. Oh, that one was loud. All right. All right, so we have this isn't terrible, a 5, a 4, and 2 3s. So that makes it a 12?
Yep, a 12.
It's okay.
Oh. Come on, Constitution. Well, poo-poo. A 1, a 3, a 4, and a 4.
Oh my goodness! So it was
11. Like,
okay,
this character plus the racial bonus, which would give us 12. So this is gonna be like the low end, middling, like average so far. Like,
he is not destined for adventurehood.
He's not. He is not destined for melee combat.
Unless yes, that's fair. Unless we get some 6s starting now.
Well, it's your shot, man. Don't throw away your shot.
Okay, 6, 4, 4, 3, so 14.
Okay, 14 intelligence. Let's see about the wisdom.
Upgraded to mage of some kind, hopefully.
So I don't know who's touched my dice, but they should stop because I don't ever want to roll these dice again. Like in like 40K.
You have invoked the wrath of Quaker Oats.
Yeah. I have teased the oats, and the oats have cursed my dice.
How dare you! You have enraged the oats.
We have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 5.
My goodness.
So that's 10. A 9.
Oh, a 10.
No, 10. 10, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. 10 on wisdom. Yep. So, John, it's up to you, man. This is the final shot. Give us something good.
Only get one chance. Oh, there's an extra dice in there. Better take those out.
Hashtag not cheating.
All right, Mom Spaghetti.
All over your shot.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
3, 2, 1, 2. So that is a 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Could we play this like we did the Goblin, where charisma? I don't think we can, right? Because I've seen pictures of orcs, half orcs.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that this character. So, for those of you at home who are keeping track and don't want to do the thing, our final things are 11, 12, 12, 14, 10, and 7. And as far as the charisma goes, Oof. I almost want to say that this, just looking at the strength and that it's a half orc, that this is a character who's used to not getting their way. So we were talking about the toxic friendship with Jahzzar earlier, and how that they probably do things that aren't are kind of self-centered, and most people would be like, man, if somebody was like that in my life, I'd cut them out. But I feel like this character can't, because charisma is the way that they affect the world through their willpower. And how they go out and get things. So they don't have that willpower. They don't have that conviction.
So we have a complicated character who is very intelligent, but may have some self-esteem issues that could contribute to his interactions with other people.
Yeah,
in a negative way.
Very much so.
Either making it difficult for him to communicate with meeting people or meeting new people, or making it difficult for him to say no to stronger and more charismatic characters.
Yeah.
Easily pushed around.
Yeah, and like that. So drawn from my high school experience, and I had a very abusive and toxic best friend. I loved him. I don't know, rest his soul, but like in high school, I was not confident about things. So like he would tease and ridicule me with jokes and then make it seem like it was just a jokey thing. And I feel like this
is just a prank, bro.
Yeah. And this character kind of has that thing where like they kind of like shrug it off and they just go with it because they want that acceptance that this other character is giving onto them. And the other character who's toxic just wants the attention and wants to retain that person.
Yeah,
like focus, and it gives them that drive. So it's a bad relationship there. I think this comes from the fact that this character probably is seen as more physical and more orcish than like from the human standpoint, and so has always tried to like mitigate themselves and like make themselves seem smaller and judged off of that. This is a female presenting them masculine, so maybe even it could be the reverse. It could be that they've been trying to make themselves look bigger because people, maybe they came from an area that like, I don't know, gentrified and like played up her ethnicity and like, oh, she's a half orc or her mother like this, and she's like trying to be more like, no, I'm a guy, and has this weird dichotomy in her head, or his head, I should say.
There's a lot of different ways to explore that. I think it's very interesting to throw out the idea that, because I think the place that most people go to with low charisma is this is an ugly or unattractive character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They'll like, because we did that with Sophia. We were like, okay, what's bad charisma for a goblin? But we really can't do that with this character. So it really is has more to do with the character's ability to interact with other people and could tie into their background a little bit.
And I feel like with Sophia, we kind of did that as a throwaway and how the character would have developed. But yeah, I think going with charisma because I think we debated it, if I remember correctly, whether or not this was Sophia's case was more of a physical based charisma or a personality.
Yeah.
And we settled with the physical version of it as a driving story factor. So it really depends. But I feel for this character, it's very much more so a ability to affect the world with.
Yeah, and also like I'm drawing a parallels to some other characters that people might be familiar with. The one that really pops into my mind is Sadness from that movie. I forget the name of the movie, but it's
the emotion movie.
The movie with the emotions.
Yeah, the emotional movie.
My wife would be like, "It's that movie, you idiot!" But I can't.
Yeah. Inside Out.
Inside Out. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so a character who has maybe doesn't see or yet discovered their own confidence and inner potential too.
Yeah. So that leads us very nicely into the class, which is a D12, and this will help us kind of flesh out future goals, aspirations, and what they are. Because all of these characters are adventurers by quote unquote trade, the wanderers mostly, and they're settling into this town. And that's why they're also NPCs. But originally they have a class and they have this, so you can take them out to adventure. So John, would you roll us a D12?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, we do double. We do a double and then we take the most convenient one because we don't.
That's right.
We only had one time when we rolled the same number, and that was Celia, and that was a bard.
Yeah. No. Okay. I rolled a 4.
Druid for you. Ranger for me. Because I rolled an 8.
This is tough.
Which is interesting. Neither one of these. Yeah. Really fits. So they're both wisdom-based primary. Druid tends to have intelligence as a backup, a secondary for the saves and things like that. Ranger is more dex and wisdom saves. And we already have a druid in town. So I'm leaning a little bit towards Ranger. But simply because there's a definitely interesting way of building Rangers where the different subclasses can make them quite interesting. And a lot of people consider Ranger currently as like an underpowered class in D&D 5th edition.
I've seen Ranger be really strong with like a thief subclass or rogue subclass.
Yeah, but as a solo class itself, a lot of people see it as being kind of underwhelming. There are very strong roleplay aspects of it, and some of their class abilities, such as the favorite enemy, don't seem to give enough benefit. But I think in general, Rangers are actually fairly strong. They're a very utility class. But I think just going back to the stats, dexterity and wisdom are pretty average. Intelligence is pretty high. So either one of these is fine, I think, for this character. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried. I think it's a playable character.
Yeah,
as a ranger or as a druid. We do already have a druid who has much better stats for a druid, so I'm fine with ranger. I mean, I think neither one of them is an ideal choice, so it's hard for me to be like, yeah, that one's the obvious choice.
Yeah,
given the fact that we don't have a ranger yet, and we already have sort of built in our heads some associations with Jaruk. Coming from a sort of hunter-gatherer background, it makes sense that maybe
and Jaruk's kind of a
this could be the case. We've talked about how he has low charisma and has a lack of confidence. He could know he's a terrible ranger. By the standards of rangers, he could be aware of the fact that he's a little bit physically weaker than the other rangers in the tribe, even though that's kind of like the tradition that he just was sort of forced to follow, maybe.
Yeah, actually, I think so. An interesting point is Jaruk is an orc warlock who's very combat kind of focused and heavy and whatnot, and has a very strong hunted one background. But as far as the ranger goes, I feel more that this character has gone into rangering and whatnot, so they could spend more time outside of the town to escape. They found the nature that way. It's not that they know that they're a terrible ranger. It's that to get away from being in the town that they were raised for so long, they've gone to the different, like maybe the city guard or the town watch or something like that, and started to do rangering to protect the outskirts of the town and not have to come back to town as often and deal with
maybe something that started as I need to go for a walk became a profession.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so now we have one of the wonderful things about Ranger is they have a lot of roles that we have to do now. We have to choose 3 skills for the profession. We have to choose a language and favorite enemy. And a natural explorer, we have to choose an environment that we are trained in. So we need to make 3 D8 rolls.
Okay.
I have 1 D8 available. I don't know if you have 2 or 1.
I'm holding 3. I can roll 2.
Well, you roll all 3. Let's see what we get here. Roll them all at once, and let's.
All right, so first of all, you tell me, what does the black dice represent here?
Oh, all 3 will be the profession, the skills. Okay. This is just the skills at the moment. What the proficient in.
All right. All right, so I rolled a 5 and a 3 and a 2.
So, nature, insight, and athletics, which is kind of funny because they are very crap in strength, but maybe they're just a good runner. Like they have a good stride.
Yep. Or maybe the character is possibly a little bit clumsy, and it still has the sort of natural or earned through ranging sort of physique.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily know how to use it correctly.
Or opposite. They understand how to use it, but they don't have the physical strength to do some of the things. Like like they're trained, they understand what they should be able to do, and their limits. It's the same way as like when you train and learn a new movement in a martial art, and you can see what the person's doing, your instructor, whatnot, and you can mimic it, but something's just not right there, and you're not getting the correct outcome, and you're not sure what it is. I think that's more like it. I like that they get nature and insight, so they kind of have this awareness of other people and the reactions to them, and also they've been ranging, so they have a lot more nature.
Those fit.
Instead of choosing our favorite enemy next, I think we should go over to the lay of the land and decide on our natural explorer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 again. And this time I will roll.
Okay.
And see what we get. 2, the coast. So they are very particular with surviving and traveling in coastal regions. They get a bonus whenever they roll an intelligence or wisdom check related to the favorite terrain. And difficult terrain doesn't stop them. They can't get lost as long as they're by the coast. And I would even go so far as to say it's not necessarily this includes ocean, not just front and whatnot, but also like islands and things like that, and the sea itself.
So I want to throw this out there before we proceed.
Yeah.
This would be our 3rd character, or possibly
related to the ocean
character who has 3rd character that has a relation to the ocean.
Yes. So
does that say something about the geography of our town? Are we somewhere near the ocean?
You know what? At first I thought we were by a river and like the grasslands, but the more that it's come up, I think we are probably at the mouth of a river that leads into the sea.
Maybe a harbor type situation.
Yeah. Probably a bay. Let's go with a bay area. Like
I like it. Yeah.
Like the end of the Nile or something like that, with like the salt marshes and things like that, and a larger river comes out and meets the sea, and it's probably got a swing peninsula on one side, and the waters are probably a little bit calmer.
I can hear the waves, Daryl. I'm there. You've taken me there.
and I see it probably a little bit further inland, but not too much, is a nice like forest area. Like it's not think like southern USA, like Louisiana, Florida, not necessarily like palm trees and things where it's tropical, but more
temperate.
Temperate. Yeah.
Right.
Britannia or something like that.
Yeah.
Here in Europe. So that kind of thing. So yeah, I think so. I think what our town is now, it has uplifted itself from the grasslands and has migrated down and settled into the bay.
Yeah, I think that's unavoidable at this point with the number of characters we have that have some sort of association with water.
Yeah.
And the ocean specifically. Okay.
So, on to that comment, the lizard folk, that would also explain why there's a lizard folk in the area too, because he could have come from a tribe far along the coast on an island part where it's more swampy and densely packed forest, and that is less settled and has come down, or from farther up the river,
right,
in a place that's marshy and that kind of where the leads into the river. So it leads to a lot of the characters connecting.
So she could also be someone from the coastal region, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. It would make sense for that. Now we need to choose our favorite enemy, and we have 14 options for this. So I think a D10 and a D6 will be fine. No, a D10 and a D4. That's 14.
You want me to roll this?
Yep. You had the clickety clack.
I do. Here it is. And that is a 6. 5 and a 1.
Elementals.
Okay.
Okay. So this kind of lead, both of our lawful characters have something against elementals. One is traditionally from her racial background and society, and the other one from the job. That being the case, now we get to choose a language.
Oh.
And if I remember correctly, there's something along the lines of like 26 different languages. So I'm going to roll a D20 and a D6 for this. We got an 18. Jeez. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's odd. I'm not sure how I like... What will happen if I take off the D&D option? Not the D&D, the Magic the Gathering. So I rolled up Minotaur.
Interesting. Speaks Minotaur. Yeah, let's take off the Magic the Gathering options for languages.
Actually, it doesn't change it at all.
Really?
So, yeah.
It's still Minotaur, so that's just a language. Okay.
So now this is interesting because in some of the Forgotten Realms, Minotaurs are seafaring folk. They are a race that is good with the labyrinths and puzzle and mazes and stuff. In traditional, I think Monster Manual and like 5th E basic, Minotaurs are more like the gnolls, which are more fiend than humanoids themselves, which has been kind of retconned. But it could very well be that there is a race of seafaring, civilized-ish, or has a civilization. Minotaurs. pirate minotaurs. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. Maybe that's where this character kind of grew up, along the coast or maybe on an island.
Coastal town that has. Okay.
Yeah. And they're half orc and they're raised and end up predominantly, or maybe not even predominantly, but maybe there's a large population of minotaurs there. Maybe that's where they like grew up, or the outcasts kind of go. Maybe it's a gang, maybe it's a pirate crew, and they were associated there and they learned how to speak Minotaur.
That makes sense.
Play with that as you will to fit your setting at home. But I think that feels really right. And that also would explain the lack of confidence, because half-orcs, typically bigger than humans, bulkier at least, size-wise. But compared to a
not
Minotaur...
bigger than the Minotaur.
No.
Yeah.
No. So you could easily get like this complex going on where you feel like you should be a top dog and intimidated, and you with all these other things that have giant horns and hooves and are bulkier than you, and you're like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Like,
yeah, certainly, and I think you kind of mentioned something briefly there where there could be like a gang sort of element, or like street urchin type element to the story, and that could easily be dovetailed with Jaruk's backstory or whatnot.
yeah.
But and also fits with the type of character who has, like you said, low charisma, because this is a character who can be persuaded into doing things that they wouldn't normally do by a stronger, more charismatic character. So this character is kind of like the patsy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. This character really needs to watch out for Celia, because
yes, absolutely.
she will use and abuse this character. I feel like manipulative. Maybe even this character might have like left a certain pirate crew or something like that, and will recognize Celia.
Yeah. Either way, this character is definitely sort of like the unwitting henchman to many other stronger characters. It
pretty much
go either way with Celia, or they're going to get bullied into working for somebody, either Celia or Jaruk or someone like that. Now, somebody like Fred Sora could see that and take this person under their wing too.
Yeah,
and actually lead this person into building up their charisma. There could be a character arc where this character is actually trying to build up their confidence over time. So
completely.
I don't want to pigeonhole the character too much. I'm going to say, like, if you play this character, you could work on that.
Yeah, completely. If this character, like most of our characters and what we really try to do, has the options and has the flexibility for you to bring in a narrative and to construct a story with them. So this can be either they become a patsy or brought in, and then they somehow like grow confident and like stand up for themselves, or they get taken under the wing by another character and become friends and discover themselves that way. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. Now, for the background, I'm leading straight into that right there, because it'd be a nice transition to find out where this character really is from. It's a 17 options. So we can do a D20, or we can do a D10 and a D8. It's up to you.
Let's do the D10 and the D8.
Okay.
I don't know what we normally do. I think
we've been doing a D20.
Yeah.
But
let's see what happens with the D10 and the D8. It might lead us to more variety. All right, so that is a 5.
A 5, okay. folk hero. And if I remember correctly,
What?
wah, wah, wah.
One of these things is not like the others.
One of these things does not belong. Who was the other folk hero that we had? Oh, Red Sora.
Yeah.
So Old Man Red. So yeah.
All right. So I reacted negatively to this at first, but imagine at the very beginning of the movie Hercules and how teeny tiny and scrawny Hercules was, and all he needed was Phil to give him some confidence and training and knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Phil mostly gave Hercules confidence in that movie. So this is not so. While Red Sora is a known folk hero, secretly deep down on the inside is where this character is a folk hero.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a really actually very interesting turn for the character, and that like they really do want to rise up and be known and be famous as and help people, but it's going to take some work to get there, certainly.
And possibly, depending on what we roll for the personality traits and the details, that they see being a folk hero as like their way of achieving, personality and whatnot. Like it's not so much that they want stories written about them, but they feel if they chase this thing, they'll find something else that they're actually looking for. They're substituting it. Before we continue on, we get animal handling and survival as skill proficiencies, which works great for a ranger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vehicles land, which is a little odd because we're a seafaring folk hero. Maybe talk to your DM. I would say, honestly, for this character, I would say they have proficiency vehicles, water over the land, like boats, skimmers, things like that.
Yeah, it depends on what your actual setting is going to be, I think. Or going back to that street urchin Patsy background, someone's got to drive the getaway carriage. So,
Yeah. But also, they have artisan tools. So we need to roll a D20. I'm just going to keep it simple, a D20. There's 17 options.
Okay. A 10.
Leather worker tools.
Okay.
So they're a leather worker.
That fits well with Ranger super well.
Fits well with Ranger, fits well with folk hero, fits well with being on the ocean. I mean, it's a little bit harder to get good leather out there, but imagine this is the D&D world. There's pretty big fish to fry out there.
Or seals. Baby
seals.
I don't know.
We're not gonna club the baby seals.
Okay, no, but there are animals on the ocean that you could make seals and whales and sharks and
dolphins and all kinds. Yeah, and there's other things there too. You have some evil apparitions and things like that you could probably make leather from. Don't forget that they lived on an island or a peninsula or something like that, an archipelago, that could have potentially had animals, and they probably imported some in for the town.
Sheep or goats or something.
Yeah. Cows, things like that. So there's potential for all kinds of stuff there. But also that gives us a nice segue because I don't think any of the other characters have the ability to make armor or clothes.
Yep. And now we have someone who could potentially be running our general store, Daryl. We did it. We got there.
We got the general store. We also this could be Abercrombie and Orc.
Yeah.
you know, they sell out and they do some of the leather working for the armor and things like that.
Yeah.
That could also be a way.
Yeah.
Like to go out, get this stuff. So now we need to add in our characteristics. 2d8, please.
2d8.
Yeah, for the personality traits.
This is the make or break
Hopefully,
for the concept that we've come up with this character, right? Because
it always is, and I love it. Like,
yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see if our predictions are true or if we have to just totally throw everything out of the window. It's going to be
how many hoops do we have to jump through?
Super arrogant or something like that. All right, so I rolled 2 8s.
I get bored easily. When am I going to get on with my destiny? Roll a second. And let me double check and make sure there's not anything fun as far as tables go for half orcs. Nope. Okay. Go ahead and roll a second one.
So when am I going to get on with my destiny? I think does kind of fit with with a lot of the things we've already said.
Okay.
All right, let's go. That's a 5.
This one's going to be harder to make fit because I'm confident in my own abilities and do what I can to instill confidence in others.
Nope.
That one, I think, broke our system.
It totally broke. It broke everything.
And here comes the House of Cards just tumbling down, down, down. Yeah. So,
well,
I think we could look at
it. Changes things for sure. Yeah.
But think about it this way. This is in regards to just their personality and their backgrounds. It could be that this character is confident in like either the leatherworking or with their abilities as a ranger.
That's what I was going to say.
But when it comes to being in the social situations,
right? Confident and competent ranger and leatherworker, not so good with interactions with other people. I don't know if the stuff we said about like the easily manipulated patsy type character who sort of sounds like a sadness from Inside Out. I don't think any of that fits anymore, though. I don't know.
No, but it could also be more so, and it could still be kind of not necessarily a patsy, but the pawn or the underling style still affects, because this character doesn't have confidence to stand up for themselves unless maybe it could also be that they're confident in a situation if they're in the coast.
I think confident when they are alone and away from other people, and it's being around other people and being around other characters whose charisma outshines theirs, whose personalities are bigger and louder. It just sort of hinders all of that, or it drowns that out. So when they are alone, they are confident, and he is confident in his abilities to trap and track and leatherwork and all that stuff. But just as soon as he walks into a room where someone like Cilia or
Daruk or Red Sora are sitting at
one of these big personalities, he shrinks.
Yeah. And also, just thinking about it this way, it could be that they're confident and they try to instill confidence in others by like encouragement and stuff. But when it comes to these big personalities and stuff, you know that there are people out there who are just like, okay, I'm going to let the loud people go and do their thing and just follow along because it's easier than trying to convince them.
Yeah.
Even though they may well feel more confident in what they're doing or their capabilities, they're just like, it's easier just to go with these loud people. And then if I can weasel my way into doing the thing that I want to do or that I know is better, then I'll do that. Because remember, this character is quite intelligent and kind of wise. It's just they can't.
You know what just popped into my head is Shirani. Have you seen those music videos?
No.
With I'll have to send it to you later. It's a Lonely Island video, but
Oh goodness.
Shairani is a character in their music videos who, when Rihanna is singing and Rihanna is in the
Yeah.
room because it's a video collaboration with Rihanna. When she's in the room, Shairani like just mumbles, and you can't hear anything that he's saying. So,
Oh yeah.
I hear you. Speak up, and he's like, oh, like, and then as soon as she leaves, she gets tired of it and leaves. He just like drops the hook, right, and he just starts, like, laying it down. But then she comes back.
I think I've seen
mumbling. It. So somebody who's competent in their inner dialogue, you know what I mean, and in their solitary actions, but when Rihanna's in the room, it falls flat.
I mean, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people.
Like you said,
so John,
he doesn't try to outshine these other characters. He takes it back.
It's much easier to be following the flock than being the nail that's sticking up to get hammered down.
Yeah.
In this character's idea. So roll a d6 and let's see if our ideals match our predictions and our assumptions for this character.
Okay.
Again, if you take this character out, feel free to just use our own assumptions and put it in instead of using these ideals. But we like to use this because it gives a standard thing. Ready, John?
Roll the d6. A 6.
Destiny, nothing and no one can steer me away from my higher calling.
I think it works.
So
I think I like this character is becoming humorous to me now, where we're like, as soon as Taruk walks out of the room, that's the kind of thing that's in the back of mind. It's
the
like,
mind.
What's going to stop me from becoming a folk hero? Sure,
yeah.
Taruk, like, whatever you say. You know, like,
yeah, like slightly sarcastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna roll a d6 for the bonds, and then I'll let you do the flaw. 2. I work the land. I love the land, and I will protect the land. So this person probably feels a calling for nature and being out in the wilderness and has grown to love it. And the wild is this character's family.
Yeah.
And they feel like there's some kind of calling there, and that they're going to be the hero of the land, maybe, potentially. And that's where they get this confidence from, is when they're out there in that kind of situation. And dealing with humans and these social lies and things are not what they're good at. So, John, roll a d6 and let's find out the flaw.
Okay, here it is. A 3.
The people who knew me when I was young know my shameful secret, so I can never go home again.
Oh, interesting.
Which, again, this is a female presenting as a masculine character. We've talked about this before. You could have it be a transitional past. Have it something like that as the dark secret, or you can work with your DM and make another one that fits the story and add a hook for their campaign.
Yeah, my mind instantly went to like the Patsy type thing, or like street urchin past, where maybe he was involved in some heist or
some shady business
that he took the fall for, even though he's an awful good character, and could be not seen in that town as welcome. You know what I mean? Or for whatever reason, he can't return because something went sideways.
Or like they ratted out and like are wanted by the pirate gang.
Awful. So maybe he did like turn somebody in, and now the gang is like, no, you can't. You know, you're banished from the land.
Yeah. Could be anything like that. So feel free to flesh that out as you will. I think this character is really interesting. Honestly,
Yeah.
This whole character has taken so many wild turns, ups and downs, that I was not expecting. But the last thing we need to do is name this character.
Yeah.
And that's going to be where we go. And the thing is like, they could maybe have a human name. They could have an orcish name. And we can see what that is. I don't think for this character, whereas with Jaruk, we did a kind of a new name and then like his dead name.
Yeah.
Just I give you, depending on when you want to play this character or which part of the transition you want to play it in. I think for this character, we're just going to give a masculine name.
Yeah, I think so
and
too. I think you can always come up with that other stuff on your own. I think a masculine name works for this character. And honestly, I'm looking at half-orc names. I don't know if I want this to be a half-orc name. I'm leaning towards a human name.
Yeah.
Raised by the human side of the family, potentially.
I just happened to hit randomize, and I like this name. Arturok. Sorry, Aturuk. And we could almost change that to an O and like Turok. Make it a Turok. I like Turok.
A Turok. Yeah, I do like that too. I don't see why does this not? I guess this is because this particular website has just you can just click on real names, or you can click on fantasy names. So there's no pirate name generator, no seafaring. Oh wait, pirate. Can I just click one pirate name?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go through some pirate ones. Let's see what we got. This is my name in the hat.
Okay.
What you got?
Nevin Sherwood.
Nevin Sherwood.
It's the most interesting one on this list. There's some others, but I think Nevin is such like a nerdy sounding name that it fits in my mind. But
you know what? No. Let's go with Nevin. Nevin goes to heaven right here.
Be a Turok. Nevin Turok Sherwood.
Oh.
Yeah. Never know Sherwood. We just never know sometimes.
This is the first character we've had that has a complete name. Okay, yeah. I like this. I like what this character's at. I like what it's going to do. I can see... It feels like he will get along very well with Misty.
Yeah.
Or Triton. And the cleric... If I remember correctly... And I think I might be wrong.
Get along really well with Sophia. And
Sophia
might be intimidated by Red Sora and Jaruk, or
I think he's okay with
Sylvia.
Would be okay with Red Sora. I think he wouldn't. He would back down from Sora a lot more often. Like he would talk about things and then like backtrack. Well, let's see here. Order domain. Okay. Because for some reason I thought Misty was a like light or sun domain that would fit with the lizard folk, and I was like, oh well, no, but okay. Yeah, so I like it. I think he would interact very well. I think he would also have something that's kind of like a clay wood house, similar in between like Red Sora's house and materials and Jaruk's wood house.
Something a little bit rustic, yeah.
Yeah, more like that. In a similar vein and style. And they would probably be more downwind in the setting, like whichever way the wind tends to blow, not necessarily because it's always going to change, but the typical everyday way, because leatherworking and tanning the hide is smelly business.
Yeah.
So they would probably be a little bit on the outskirts.
I do think the same thing. I think also this character's personality would have him being somewhat isolated in general.
Yeah.
So he would probably just naturally, even without thinking about leatherworking, it would be his inclination to put a dwelling like closer to the coast, and maybe
you know what would be funny though. So we have Celia, who's parked her boat kind of on the beach in the Bay Area and made like a house system from that, and is no longer sailing the ship. And then we have Misty, the Triton, who we've kind of discussed having kind of like a hobbit hole or a beaver dam style underwater along the shelf or in the riverbed. It would be really interesting if Nevin accidentally built his house like 2 steps off of like the ground level of Misty's house,
like directly above Misty's house. Like one day she's just sitting here, she hears all this hammering and stuff. It's like, I've got neighbors.
But she's just like deep enough under that you can hear the reverberations of the steps in the earth, but not too much because the earth is a very good insulator. So, and like he doesn't realize that he did that, and like she comes up in his backyard one day while he's just like out training or something like that, and she's like, he's like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I live here." And he's like, "Wait, what?"
You built a house on top of my house. I could see her coming back from a long adventuring trip and discovering this house has been built like directly on top of her house, and then maybe like Jaruk and what's her name, Celia, are just hilariously counting the gold from the like estate sale or like the
land sale,
land tax or whatever. They've somehow collected lease money from
from
Nevin.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty hilarious. But I think Nevin's come out really well. I think it would be interesting to see how players take him, what they kind of want to do with him, and then how he fits in with the town. It's surprising we still haven't had a character. I guess Celia is the closest one to being a personality-driven mayor. Piece. But I really feel like she's more of a lawmaker.
Yeah, she's not like the actual mayor. She's like the head of the PTA, or the head. I
could see her being kind of like
the HSA.
She's kind of like the DA, you know. Like she's not
right.
Yeah, like she's
a little bit
in for the laws. She's in for the laws and being like that and kind of ruthless about it, but no. But that brings us to the end of this character. And, you know, if you have any other ideas, feel free to comment, like talk about it. We try to respond very quickly onto social media about these kind of things. So let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this character. We'd love to hear your thoughts about it. But thank you for listening all the way through. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you don't mind, leave a like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends and family on your social medias, through YouTube, through Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, however you want to do it. It really helps. It helps us.
Tell your grandma. Tell your friends. Tell random people on the street.
Tell your dog.
Like
if your dog can hit the subscribe button, man. Like if he has an account, sign him up.
Listen to this podcast with your dog.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, or your lizard, or your snake, or your, whichever pet you have.
Or your imaginary friends.
Actually, all your imaginary friends. You should have a listening party with all of them.
Yep.
But, and if you like the podcast and you want to support us, we do have a Patreon. Like I said, I'm trying to get the character sheets and stuff up there in a nice way. You'll get the podcast early. We'll give out shout outs to patrons on the beginning of episodes. You can find me, Daryl, on Raging Cajun Studio on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. My Twitter is dmokun. It's linked to all of those. So if you follow one, you'll probably catch me on another one. And you can find John at
Jonicus with a 0 on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.
Yeah. So come and hang out with us. Come talk to us on these forums. John does a lot of 76 Fallout and Paper Commander on his Twitch, which is fun to watch. So thank you all for hanging out with us, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yep. Peace.